Hi, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic today. And this topic is slightly different because we've been discussing about the great Maharishi Parashara so far in most of our videos. And this we will be talking about Sage Jaimini, who's the second generation to Sage Parashara. And we'll be discussing about Jaimini Karakas. Just like we've discussed earlier in our earlier videos, there are certain karakas which represent certain areas of our lives. These are also called significators. Like, for example, we have discussed that the significator of or the karaka for marriage in a man's chart is Venus or Shukra. Similarly, a significator or karaka for siblings, especially younger siblings, is Mars. However, there's a slight difference in Jaimini astrology. Jaimini, as we know, the Maharishi Jaimini is the second generation to Sage Parashara. He has said that the karakas necessarily need not be fixed. They could be any of those planets. So, for example, in a man's chart, a karaka for marriage necessarily does not need to be Venus. It could be any of these 7 planets, and excluding, of course, Rahu and Ketu. So he's considered only 7 planets, and these are based on the degrees these planets occupy at the time of birth. So there's a slight difference here, and we're gonna discuss all these 7 karakas. Basically, he's described these karakas could be any of the 7 planets rather, and some of the modern astrologers have also added Rahu as the 8th karaka. However, as per ancient Jaimini astrology, he's only considered the 7 karakas, which are the 7 planets, namely Jupiter, Saturn, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Moon, and Venus, and he has excluded Rahu and Ketu. So we're not going to get into Rahu at this point because I don't want to confuse you. I'd rather stick to these 7 planets as major karakas. And how do we determine these 7 planets as these 7 karakas and their significations, and how do we analyze a chart based on Jaimini astrology based on these 7 karakas? How do we come to a conclusion or determine what are the karakas for several different areas of our life based on the sutras given by Jaimini, Sage Jaimini? The work of Sage Parashara has been compiled under Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, and the work of Sage Jaimini, the second generation, has been compiled under Jaimini Sutras. So we're going to be discussing briefly about what he talks about the karaka. So as per Jaimini astrology, the karakas of different areas of our lives can be classified under, first, the Atma Karaka. Atma in Sanskrit means the soul. The second Karaka, which he has described, is the Amatya Karaka. And Atma Karaka is determined based on the planet which occupies or which has the highest degrees in the birth chart. The Amatya Karaka, which is the second Karaka, is considered to be the planet which occupies or has the second highest degrees in the birth chart in terms of a longitude. And the maximum degrees a planet can have is 30 degrees because a Rashi compromises, or a zodiac sign compromises, of 30 degrees. So Amatya Karaka is the planet which holds the second highest degrees in a birth chart. The third Karaka is the Bhratri Karaka. Bhratri means sibling, or means actually The real translation is Bhratri, means brother. So the third Karaka as per Jaimini astrology is Bhratri Karaka, and it is that planet which holds the third highest degree in the birth chart or the natal birth chart of a person. The fourth Karaka is the Matri Karaka. Matri means mother in Sanskrit, and the planet which holds the fourth highest degree in the birth chart qualifies to be a Matri Karaka. The fifth Karaka as per Jaimini astrology is Putra Karaka. Putra in Sanskrit means son, and it is that planet which holds the fifth highest degree in a birth chart. The sixth Karaka is the Gnati Karaka. The Gnati Karaka is the planet which holds the sixth highest degree in a birth chart. Gnati means relatives in Sanskrit. So it's that planet in a birth chart or a natal birth chart or at the time when the person was born, which is holding the sixth highest degree in a birth chart. And as we know that as per the longitude, the lowest degree is 0 and the highest is 30, because the zodiac sign, the maximum degree a planet can hold while it's being in a zodiac sign is 30 degrees. So the sixth highest degree, or the planet which holds the sixth highest degree in a birth chart at the time of birth, is considered to be the Gnati Karaka. And the seventh Karaka is the Dara Karaka. And Dara in Sanskrit means wife, and at the time of birth, the planet which holds the seventh highest degree is considered to be the Dara Karaka. So these are the seven Karakas which has been given by the sage, the great sage Parashara, and he has said that out of the seven planets, which are Jupiter, Saturn, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Moon, and Venus, any of these could be any of these seven Karakas. And these Karakas are significators of certain areas of our lives, and by analyzing that planet's position in that chart, we can analyze very, very accurately, as per Sage Parashara, these seven areas of our lives. So, and once again, he has also mentioned here that Sun will be a natural Atma Karaka, regardless of what degree it holds in a birth chart. So when you do an analysis of a birth chart, first look at the Sun as per Jaimini and see how it is placed, whether it's afflicted or not, whether it's debilitated or exalted, what's its position, and then you can determine the significations of the Atma Karaka based on the planet Sun, regardless of what degrees it holds. So that is very important. Now, if we go to the signification of these seven Karakas, let's start with Atma Karaka, which we discussed first, which is the planet which holds the highest degree in a birth chart at the time of birth. It is actually a significator of the first house. And the first house, as we know, the natural significator of the first house, we know it's Sun. So that's how said Jaimini has also described earlier that Sun will always be a natural Atma Karaka. So anyways, so going to the planet which has the highest degree, that will be considered not a natural Atma Karaka, but an Atma Karaka of that planet, of that birth chart, I'm sorry. So, and the signification of that Karaka is soul. And that Karaka is very closely related to the first house or the lagna of the horoscope. It actually is very closely connected to what your soul is, pretty much what is the connection of that person with the soul. That planet, which is the Atma Karaka in that birth chart, will give a very, very clear indication of who that person is, what's his connection with the soul, based on what planet is the Atma Karaka. Atma Karaka, since it's also a significator of the first house, it also represents all the seven significations of the first house, like the body, the looks, the how the person looks, his entire build, and general health, his mental power sometimes, although mental power is not generally associated with the first house. But first house is yourself, your personality, your constitution. So look at which planet holds the highest degree in a birth chart, and then you can determine, after of course studying the natural Atmakaraka, which is the sun, look at the planet which holds the highest degree in the birth chart, and then see its placement and how it is disposed in the whole birth chart, whether it's nicely placed, or whether it's exalted, or whether it's afflicted, so on and so forth, and then come to a conclusion on the significations of that Atma Karaka, which is actually the signification of the first house. So that's how Jaimini has described the Atma Karaka. The second planet, which is the Amatya Karaka, is related or signifies the second house and the 10th houses. So what are the significations of the second house? We know the signification of the second house is livelihood, profession, speech, family, ornaments, gemstones. So these are the significations. Plus, what are the significations of the 10th house? Profession, what kind of karma the person does in his lifetime. That's also associated with the Amatya Karaka, because it's the signification of the 10th house, and Amatya Karaka is an indicator of the second house and the 10th house. 10th house also is related to what kind of a status or a prestige that person will have, what kind of a profession we already discussed. And do not forget the second house, because Amatya Karaka is connected very, very closely with the second house as well, which is the speech and financial stability and family and gemstones, so on and so forth. Earlier days, they used to consider gemstones as a major indication or a major karaka for the second house. Now it is, in today's day and age, you could consider, gold, ornaments, expensive jewelry, so on and so forth. So Amatya Karaka is related to that. So you have to look at the planet which holds the highest or the second highest degree, which is considered to be the Amatya Karaka as per Jaimini astrology, and see how it is placed. And then you can come to determine that person's significations, or that first person's successes and failures related to the signification of the second and the 10th houses. And we just discussed about those significations. Now we go to the third Karaka, which is called the Bhratri Karaka. Bhratri Karaka is the planet which holds the third highest degree in the birth chart at the time of birth, natal birth chart. And the Bhratri Karaka is related to the signification of the third house, which is younger siblings, short journeys, communication, so on and so forth. So the third highest degree, or the planet with the third highest degree, will give an indication of the significations of the third house, which is younger siblings, short journeys, communication, so on and so forth. So it's slightly different. The natural Karaka for younger siblings is Mars, as we know, but no, Jaimini says that the Bhratri Karaka, which is the planet which is holding the third highest degree in a birth chart, is actually will be signifying younger siblings. And of course, we cannot ignore the natural significator, which is Mars, which will always be considered while considering younger siblings. But yes, as per Jaimini, the planet which holds the third highest degree will be connected with the signification of the third house, which is younger sibling, short journeys, communication, etc. The fourth karaka, as per Jaimini astrology, is Matri karaka. Matri, as we know in Sanskrit, means mother, and it is that planet which holds the fourth highest degree in a birth chart, or the natal birth chart. And the Matrikaraka is connected or related with the significations of the fourth house. Now, as we know that the fourth house, the Karaka for the fourth house is Moon, and Moon is also a Karaka for mother. So we have to look at the position of Moon definitely, and we have to determine, we have to look at the fourth house as well, as far as determining the native's mother and his relationship with his mother, his situation, the situation of his mother is concerned. But as per Jaimini astrology, we have to go and see what planet holds the fourth highest degree at the time of birth, and then we can determine we can analyze the significations of the fourth house related to that planet. So it may not be Moon, it may not be the lord of the fourth house. It will be considered based on what planet holds the fourth highest degree in a birth chart. How is that placed? Is it afflicted? Is it exalted, debilitated, well placed, sitting in the sign of an enemy, so on and so forth. And based on that, we will determine the significations of the fourth house. And the significations of the fourth house are mother, real estate, very important, real estate, not just mother. So although it's called Matrikaraka, we just do not have to look at the person's situation as far as his mother is concerned. We have to look at all the significations of the fourth house, like mother, real estate, his vehicles, his general happiness, because it's a Sukha Bhava as well, his basic education. Basic education is looked from this fourth house, so that's one of the significations of the fourth house. Property, we've already discussed. So these things have to be determined based on the Matri Karaka, although it's called Matri. All these things have to be considered using Jaimini principles, by taking the planet which holds the fourth highest degree at the time of birth, as per Jaimini, of course. Now we go to the fifth Karaka, which is called Putra Karaka. Now Putra in Sanskrit means son, but all children have to be considered, could be a male or a female, has to be considered from the fifth house, because the Putra Karaka is related to the signification of the fifth house. And what are the significations of the fifth house? Children, wisdom, well, not wisdom exactly, intelligence. There's a slight thin line between wisdom and intelligence. So intelligence is considered from the fifth house. It's one of the signification of the fifth house. Love and romance, the power of mantra, or the power of the person to use mantra to one's advantage. General creativity, speculation, so on and so forth. So these are the significations of the fifth house. So we have to find out which planet has the fifth highest degree in the birth chart at the time of birth, in the natal birth chart, and then based on the situation of that planet, we try to analyze that person's success or failure related to his children, his intelligence, his love and romance, speculation, his mantra power, and his general creativity. Now we go to the sixth Karaka as per Jaimini astrology, and as per sage Jaimini, is the Gnati Karaka. Gnati means relative in Sanskrit. So we have to determine in a horoscope the relationship with his relatives based on the planet which holds the sixth highest degree in a birth chart. Now, although it just says relative, this Gnati Karaka is also related to the signification of the sixth house, not just relatives. So sixth house, of course, signifies relatives as well, but at the same time, enemies, his maternal relatives, especially brother of his mom, his or her mom, his diseases, his debts, his competitions, his legal problems. So all these significations of the sixth house are related to the planet which is holding the sixth highest degree in a birth chart as per Maharishi Jaimini, and this is how an analysis and determination has to be made. Now the seventh and the last Karaka is the Dara Karaka, and Dara in Sanskrit means wife. So the wife of a person, or in the case of a woman's birth chart, the husband of a person, of that lady, has to be determined based on this Karaka, and this Karaka is the planet which holds the seventh highest degree, the lowest degree in a birth chart at the time of birth, and a determination of wife has to be made. And as we've already discussed, in a wife's chart, the natural Karaka for the husband is Jupiter, and in a female's chart, a natural significator of a husband is Jupiter, and in a male's chart, a natural significator of a wife is Venus. So these are natural significators, but as per Jaimini astrology, any planet which holds the seventh highest degree or the lowest degree in a birth chart is to be considered as a Dara Karaka, and the determination of a spouse has to be made based on a Dara Karaka, or the planet which holds the lowest degree in a birth chart. However, it's not just the wife. All the significations of the seventh house are related to the Dara Karaka, or the planet which holds the lowest degree. And what are the significations of the seventh house? Of course, spouse is one, a business partner is another one, and sometimes enemies who are out in the open. I know enemies is related to this, or is a significator of the sixth house, but sometimes enemies who are out in the open also is one of the significator of the seventh house. So business partnerships along with spouse and enemies who are out in the open. And some astrologers say that public image, I think public image is more considered to be connected directly with the 10th house. So mostly look at the planet which holds the lowest degree in the birth chart, that will be Dara Karaka, and look at how it is placed, and then you can come to a determination, or you can analyze the person's spouse based on the Dara Karaka, other than the natural significator of a wife or a husband. And along with it, how's that place? Is it strong, weak, afflicted, exalted, debilitated? And then you can come to a conclusion. And also, along with the spouse, do not forget to look at other significations of the seventh house, which is one of the significations I just mentioned, is business partnerships. So we'll be having more discussions on Jaimini astrology in our coming videos. I just wanted to start off with this basic information, what Sage Parashara has described, given importance to 7 Karakas based on the Jaimini Sutras. And hopefully you enjoyed it, and do some little research, try to relate it with the normal astrology followed by, or what you're following as per Sage Parashara, and try to connect it with what Sage Jaimini has mentioned, and then try to relate it and see whether it makes sense. And then in the meanwhile, I will be discussing more in Jaimini Sutra. So uh, I will recommend subscribe to my channel in the meanwhile, and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.